The RCWR Show with Lee Sanders is intended for a mature audience only. The following is an Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive. Covering the latest in wrestling and beyond since 2011. You're listening to the RCWR Show. Now, your host, live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Yeah, for Monday night of December 14th, 2020. Lee Sanders here, covering the latest in all things wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. Welcome one and welcome all to the RCWR Show. Couple of minutes removed from an all-new Monday Night Raw. Just went off the air, literally. This was their go-home edition as we are making our way to Sunday's WWE TLC Tables, Ladders, Chairs pay-per-view event. We'll preview that card. I will definitely offer some match predictions. I think it all just depends on how the card is looking at this point. For all we know, we may actually need to wait until a little bit later on during the week to dive into the pay-per-view card. But from what I'm seeing right now, because, I mean, we can actually take a look at the card right now. I don't think anything else is going to be added on because as it stands right now tonight, as of this recording, I am seeing that there is about 6 matches that are added. Not seeing anything as far as pre-shows go and everything. But again, we got 6 matches for this year's TLC, the final WWE pay-per-view event of 2020. We are just a couple of more weeks out of wrapping up this whole calendar year and onwards to 2021, where hopefully for many of us, it will be a better year and much kinder year than 2020 has been. But we'll dive more into that later on as the show progresses and as the weeks progress. All right, so this is Old Man Lee Week. Old Man Lee Week. Let's see if you guys can kind of figure that out. But we are kicking off Old Man Lee Week, where all this week, yours truly is bringing you some pretty good content with some nice little sporadic appearances here and there as a result. So we're kicking things off tonight with an all-new RCWR show. I'll give you guys some more programming notes a little bit later on, but this officially is the week of Old Man Lee Week. So hopefully you're in for the ride. Again, we'll give you the details on that in just a little bit. Pretty average episode of Monday Night Raw. Yeah, I want to know what you guys had thought about Raw. I got the poll up. It's been a couple of weeks. I know some of you guys like that poll. It's your way of being interactive, sounding off on what you thought about some of your favorite wrestling brand shows for the week. I want to know, what did you guys think about this week's Monday Night Raw? Sound off. Twitter, at the RCWR Show. Got a poll over there. Or you don't got Twitter? No problem. Head on over to youtube.com/the RCWR Show. You don't need to spam yourself out. Just pick one of those platforms. But if you're going to go on YouTube, youtube.com/the RCWR Show, click on the Communities tab and cast your vote that way. Looking at the Twitter polling results right now, and I see there is about 33% that are giving Raw a thumbs down. Again, 33% are giving Raw a thumbs down. Meanwhile, 67% are giving the show a thumbs up. I repeat, 67% are giving the show a thumbs up. With regards to YouTube and our YouTube poll, it's still relatively early because I literally put that poll up right before we went live, but I'll poke my head in there real quick just to see if we got any early votes at least coming in right now. But it may be something we have to come back to later on during the show. No, early votes, it's a 50-50 split right now. On YouTube in the community section, it's a 50-50 split right now. Somewhat of your traditional go home. There was really nothing popping that jumped out at me for this week as far as I felt it was a slightly below average to average go home for a pay-per-view event. There was definitely a couple of matches in there that at least made me raise an eyebrow and say, okay, that's pretty damn good. Okay, yeah, I'm feeling that. Let's talk a little bit about Raw. I want to just go over this as quickly as possible because we have a lot of stuff we're going to be getting into on this week's show. Biggest piece of news that came from out of the weekend, or at least going into the weekend, the nice platter of content that Marvel/Disney Plus is going to be giving us from now going into the next couple of years as far as movies, TV shows. So we'll definitely talk about that. I'll also reflect on the sad passing when you stop and think about it. Zeus, aka Tommy Lister, who passed away at the age of 62. We'll talk about that. Saw the WWE Untold mini documentary on Goldberg, which really centered around his 170 streak. So a lot of stuff we're going to be getting into on this show. So kick on back and relax. Yeah, Raw this week. Look, I got to tell you, from the moment that the episode opened up, I couldn't help but kind of have a little bit of a sour face going on because, you know, look, I love The Miz. I do. I think when it comes to the microphone, I think when it comes to personality, he is the man. As far as the wrestling and all that goes, there's nothing really, I mean, come on. If I were to make some type of a compilation and say, Miz, greatest matches of all time, where you just go, man, Miz really outperformed in this one. Man, he was so technical. He was so, I am not going to lie to you guys, as much of a Miz fan as I am, there ain't one match I can pull out of my damn cobweb of a memory and go, well, you know what? His wrestling ability on this particular night was just... No, I think with regards to the Miz is just one of those, when you get right down to the heart of the matter, Miz is one of those character/storyline driven type of characters. That's the type of performer he is. He is a character/story arc driven character, where once in a while the right story arc will come along that screams Miz, and you've seen it with your own two eyes. Whenever there's just a little bit of creative freedom for the Miz to exploit and capitalize on, all of a sudden he is the talk amongst the wrestling community. We've seen it happen time and time again. There's a part of me that understands what's going on with the Miz right now. I mean, look, let's be candid. The show, Miz and Mrs., continues to be a relatively good hit on the USA Network, and this is despite the fact that the ratings have recently taken a little tiny bit of a dip. I actually was checking out the ratings for Total Bellas and Miz and Mrs. I used to watch a couple of episodes of the first season of Miz and Mrs. just to get a general idea, see if that's a series that, hey, I recommend you guys check this out. You like the reality. Me personally, I'm not really a fan of the reality shows. I think one of the last batches of reality shows that I was into, way before Trump got into politics, I was big into The Apprentice. I was big into Survivor. I loved Survivor. I was very big into that. And the first handful of years of American Idol, when it was on Fox, I was pretty big into that. I still remember the one year, and you guys will be telling me in a second the name of the singer, but I was quite fond of the one singer that looked like Jay Leno, or at least he had the Jay Leno salt pepper hair. He was a young guy. I thought he had a pretty damn good voice. I remember saying to my friends, oh, that's the guy. He's going to win it all. As soon as I heard him, and we didn't even go through semifinals and all that just yet. This was when the season was beginning. And I just remember hearing him and I said, oh yeah, he's the man. He's going to win that. Once in a blue moon, my girl will twist my arm and she'll have me watch The Voice. But yeah, I haven't been really big into the reality shows for many years now. But ratings for Total Bellas and Miz and Mrs., you really need to be more concerned about Total Bellas, because with each season, almost with each episode, the ratings just continue to go lower and lower. And you just can't help but say to yourself, well, with the Bellas not doing anything in the ring for WWE, really the question needs to be asked, how much longer can they sponge off of their 15 minutes of fame there? Yeah, how much longer? Because check this out. Last week's ratings for Total Bellas, that came in with a 0.08 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic, and it pretty much averaged 219,000 viewers. That's down from the previous week. It went down by 43%. So the episode prior averaged 299,000 viewers. So according to Showbuzz Daily, they're saying that this sets a new low for the series, going under the previous low of 0.12 with 257,000 viewers from the November 19th episode. Now, staying still on track with regards to The Miz, you check out his Miz and Mrs. show. Meanwhile, that one, low rating this past Thursday, 0.12 demo, and they averaged 444,000 viewers, down 14% from the previous episode. That demo hit a 0.14. Rating was 503,000. So still, the Miz's show is still doing relatively good. Break it down this way. As far as cable originals for the night, Miz and Mrs. ranked number 65. Meanwhile, Total Bellas came in at 106. So, now you're starting to see the effects of, okay, well, now no John Cena on the Bella show, right? Because that was at one point one of the draws, was being able to tune in. Oh yeah, I'm going to be able to see John Cena, but now that he essentially has nothing to do, I don't mean to laugh, but it's, so what's going to happen here? If you want to continue to keep that show going, you want to continue to be a reality star, a TV reality star, you got to do something there. Because you're bringing in that WWE audience, but after a while, that WWE audience, you're not doing anything in the WWE ring, so I don't really know why I should continue to watch. Miz still has the white hand right now, so I understand to a degree right now why he's got the Money in the Bank briefcase, why he's getting the buzz that he's getting right now and everything. But to see Raw open up with Miz and he's doing his whole little Christmas storybook thing and everything, I didn't particularly care about that. Kudos to you veteran WWE fans too, man, because the moment that we freaking saw John Morrison dressed up as Drew McIntyre Braveheart, you're automatically going, wait a minute, is there a glitch in the Matrix or something? Haven't we seen this before? Haven't we done this dance before? Because this seems oddly familiar. Sure enough, soon as I'm starting to think that, boy, you guys are quick-witted. It was like you guys just had your finger ready to hit send on Twitter and Instagram and all that. Sure enough, you got to rewind it back to 2009. We actually saw something very similar. As a matter of fact, to the point, this wasn't the first time that John Morrison dressed up mocking Drew McIntyre. So some nice fun little trivia there for you guys. So really didn't like the way that had kicked things off. That just kind of made me go, man, if you want to do a channel changer right now, especially while there's a Monday Night Football game on, okay, yeah, this is the way that you freaking do it. Well, what the hell? I wasn't expecting that move by WWE. So the fact that we got punched in the gut with that was rather, okay, so we're in for a bumpy night. Okay. Now, I still stayed with it. I still stayed with the show just to stay with it. First matchup of the night, Shayna's taking on AJ Styles. Once you get past all of that hoo-ha, all right, here we go. Two former WWE champions going at it. Hey, I got to give props. That actually was a good match. Quite honestly, I would have preferred it if Raw would have opened up and these guys are fighting. And if anything, I would have preferred if we would have maybe gotten something from the commentators as Raw was opening up, as this match was already happening, underway, bell already ringing. If the commentators filled us in on, okay, this is how this match came to be, and just show little mini highlights. Hey, look, I get that you got time that you need to kill. It's 3 hours that you need to kill, so you got to put in a lot of fillers. I get that, but nobody said that you had to fill in 10 to 15 to 20 minutes of basically dead air, of really not good substance. Yeah, we need to be more about the quality, as I always say on the show, and I have been saying for many years now. It needs to be more about the quality rather than the quantity. You feel me? But once you got past all that, good matchup between Sheamus, AJ Styles. Love that. Almost, I'm loving the fact that we're finally starting to hear my man's name drop more and more. I've been hearing his name more and more over the past couple of weeks. And, you know, I've been dubbing him Hakeem Olajuwon. And I've basically been dubbing him that for right reasons, because I'm thinking of one of my all-time favorite Bruce Lee movies and everything. And yeah, it was actually a good match between the two there. AJ Styles picking up the W over Sheamus. AJ kind of having a little bit of help from Omos, but then, you know, not really. Closing moments of this matchup, Sheamus managed to lift AJ with a firearms carry. AJ elbows out, rolls behind Sheamus, locks the leg in, tries to go for the calf crusher. Connects Sheamus, screaming in agony, because AJ was able to work on Sheamus's leg a little bit early on in the match and everything. Gets to the ropes, does Sheamus, breaks the hold. AJ then sets up Sheamus for the Styles Clash, but Sheamus lifts up, hits with the white noise, tries to go for the cover, no mas. Sheamus then tries to hobble on over to a corner, you know, with AJ and everything. Start trading some blows once again. Tries to hit again with that fireman's. Sheamus climbs the corner, struggles, barely manages to get up to the second rope. AJ flies off, clips that leg in the process. 1, 2, 3. AJ Styles picking up the W. Good opener there for as far as matches go. That was actually a pretty good opener. Finish, you could say, was a little bit. And you could also say not really that anticlimactic. But despite that, I would say the match still, as far as matches of the night for Monday Night Raw, this one definitely was pretty damn good. So I'll definitely give him props for that one. You notice, past couple of weeks now, at least maybe 2 weeks now, we definitely didn't see him on tonight's Raw. If we did see him, I don't know anything about that. But did you notice that less Adam Pearce on Monday Night Raw? Kind of an interesting move right there. If you guys have been watching SmackDown the past couple of weeks, let me know what's been going on. If at least Adam Pearce has been popping up on there. But I thought it was kind of interesting that at least the past 2 weeks that I'm aware of, I haven't seen Adam Pearce on Raw. Next matchup, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, and Jeff Hardy taking on the Hurt Business. I actually enjoyed this tag team matchup. Damn good tag team matchup. I would say definitely go out of your way. Check this one out. These boys went at it for about at least 15, 17 minutes. Good match. I actually was okay with the length of the match. I actually was okay with it. Cedric getting more and more egotistical here. Every single time the Hurt Business picks up a win, and he has some type of a minor role in it, you just can't help but wonder what's going on there in the mind of MVP when he's looking at how Cedric Alexander is taking things to the head there. How much longer is Cedric Alexander gonna last in the Hurt Business? You know, is this gonna be a case right here where Hurt Business decides, you know what, on second thought, we don't really think you have the right material for the Hurt Business? I hope I'm wrong, but you just noticed the past couple of weeks, Cedric Alexander has jumped the gun quite a bit. And I can't believe I'm about to use a freaking Star Trek reference. I really can't. I can't believe I'm about to go there. But I'm gonna freaking go there because I've been watching it for the past couple of nights now, and I've enjoyed it. Out of all the Star Trek series that's come out over the years, it's absolutely one of my favorites, right up under Discovery, but Star Trek Picard. And you know what Cedric Alexander reminds me of? Cedric Alexander reminds me a lot of that one character that decided to bind himself to Picard. You know exactly what I'm talking about. He's like this wielding sword assassin motherfucker. I mean, he's one of the baddest fucking dudes. I wish I could remember his name right now. His name will come to me when I least expect it. It's sad that I cannot remember his freaking name right now. I'm greatly disappointed that I can't remember his name. Hopefully anybody that's been watching Star Trek Picard will remind me kindly of the guy's name. It's a young kid. And, you know, he's pretty young. He's pretty naive. And Picard has to put him in place from time to time. I remember once he decided he would bind his sword to Picard's cause, you know, that basically he would give up his life for Picard's, you know, all in the name of fighting on behalf of Picard. I remember after they teleported, because it was a sticky situation. I don't want to give too much away for those of you that haven't watched Picard yet. But after they transported and they got to their destination, Picard grabbed him by the arm and he said, you know, I did not ask you to kill blah, 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 blah. You know, understand something. As long as your sword is binded to me and to my cause, you will only kill when I tell you, when it's absolutely necessary. Yeah, but then I'm summarizing here. You must obey my commands. You cannot just go rogue like you just did. Do we understand? Yeah, so you had to reel him back in. You had to bring him back down to earth. And I just kind of feel as though, with regards to Cedric Alexander, how much longer is it going to be until that kid is going to need to be humbled a little bit? Only time will freaking tell. And before anybody says, is it Rios? No, it's not Rios. Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. It's the damn samurai dude with the freaking sword. Wish I could remember the kid's name right now, but it's not coming to me. And the sad part, I'm actually looking at the cast pictures, and he is not coming up. He's not coming up anywhere. And it's funny, too, because the way he looks, he kind of looks like a young Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. You guys got to pull the picture up. Just particularly when you see him in his makeup. He looks like a young Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. But anyway, let's go on to our next matchup here. Lana taking on Nia Jax. Barely a 2-minute matchup. A lot of sloppiness going on in this matchup. Had to do from Nia's side, quite honestly. This was weird. This was so weird because for a match that only was supposed to go about barely 2 minutes, somehow Nia, and you got to go back and you actually have to watch this match, somehow Nia almost, and I do want to use that term very loosely, almost in that time frame hurts herself and Lana in this match. I know it's kind of hard to believe, but you hear the silly report that's floating around about, oh, well, Keithley and this person were told by Vince McMahon they've got to go down to the Performance Center and they've got to brush up on some of their in-ring ability. They need to tighten some stuff up, blah this, blah that. You know, you hear that, and we'll talk about Keithley because he actually did have a match tonight. But, you know, you hear that, and then you see this match between Lana and Nia Jax, and you can't help but say, okay, well, if that report is true about Keithley and a couple other guys, per Vince, go back to the Performance Center, tighten up on some things. Look, can we say that Nia and Lana, they should be part of that club as well? Hopefully they have been, but if not, you know, but I mean, look, Lana, for the most part, as far as taking an ass kicking goes, she did what she was supposed to do in this match. There was no doubt about that. What this all was a setup for, ultimately, was Lana getting an upset victory over Nia Jax. But it was just, when you see the end result, the best way I can summarize it would be to use an analogy. So, in this case, I'm going to go with a food analogy. We all know, hey, come on, who doesn't like food? But let's go with a dessert. I don't know. It's Old Man Lee week. Let's go with cake. So, think of your favorite cake for a second. This isn't long-winded, right? Think of your favorite cake. Boom, that favorite cake, it's right there. It's on the table. It's moist. It's delicious. It's not too sweet. It's the bomb. But the steps taken to make that cake, all the ingredients to make that cake, get that batter nice, just right, put it in that pan, put it in the oven, from start to finish to get the end result that you have on the table. So in the case of Nia Jax and Lana, all right, to see the finish, okay, Lana pulling in the upset. Hey, yeah, but look what happened leading up to it. You can't erase that out of your mind. You just can't. And man, I cringe every single time these days I see Nia Jax in the ring wrestling with somebody, because I can't help but say, man, is tonight going to be the night where she damn near breaks her neck, injures herself, hurts somebody in the process, or they both get hurt? And tonight was definitely one of those nights where a major bullet was dodged. You just got to go back and you got to check out the match. But to see the way Lana won the match, I got to give a shout out. I got to give a shout out, because I couldn't help but think to myself, the way Lana had pinned Nia, it was almost like Lana was resting her face on a My Pillow joint. But shout out to Veta, a longtime follower of the show. She said Nia looks like a beanbag chair. And it was. You gotta actually see the freaking image. Go on my Twitter page at the RCWR Show. Just click on media. And if I'm not mistaken, that should be the only, other than a Highlander joint. You just gotta scroll through. You'll know when you see it. It's about maybe the 4th or 5th pick where you see it. And I mean, Lana just looks like, I want to go for a nap. And it just looks like she's trying to rest her face on a beanbag. It really does look like that. Freaking hilarious though. So Lana gets this win. However, okay, so you're going, yay, and you're following this story arc of Lana, the underdog, the girl that just keeps getting owned by Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax over and over again. But when is she gonna have that true, definitive, this is it, the feud is over, I'm on to bigger and better things, this is it, win, lose, drop, this is it. And you thought tonight, okay, this is it. Surely no, we're not, because Nia, Shayna did a serious number in storyline on Lana, right down to the point they took off Lana's boot during the Handicap beatdown, removed her sock, all of that, and Shayna Baszler just proceeded to go MMA on that freaking exposed ankle. Nia adding more insult to injury. Asuka barely coming out there after the damage was done. Nia, Shayna owning Asuka for a hot minute, but then I believe it was Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. They came in there, trying to help out and everything. Or at least, if I remember right from later on in the night, Dana Brooke was in action. If I remember right, Dana Brooke was in action against, I want to say, Shayna Baszler, if I remember right. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on. But, all right, so you hear that, and couple of segments later, commentators say, well, due to the injuries that Lana sustained earlier, she's not going to be able to team up with Asuka against Shayna and Nia Jax at TLC. All right, so you hear that and you go, okay, so what's going on with the replacement? No replacement has been announced. So the cliffhanger, Asuka now needs a new tag partner at Sunday's WWE TLC. I don't know about you guys, but considering some of the recent advertising that's been going on, I think I have a pretty good idea who that tag team partner might be. We'll talk more about that when we get ready to preview TLC. I'm hoping that's going to be the case. Otherwise, anything else would be a little bit disappointing, I would have to say. But it is what it is. See, other than that, let's move on here. Looking at some more of the matches we got for tonight. All right, Keithley. Looks like that was the next one. Keithley taking on, in a handicap match, Miz and Morrison. Got a couple of issues here with this matchup. And Keithley fans should be a bit ecstatic over the fact that I'm getting ready to defend Keithley here. First off, criticism, constructive at that. Keithley, seen backstage, comes up to Miz and Morrison and gives them a proposition. He has this coin and he flips it in the air, tells the guys, call it. They say heads. It's heads. So they won. But neither Miz or Morrison have the common sense and storyline to ask Keithley, hey, so what did we win? Keithley says to them before walking off, hey, congrats, you won, but I promise you that's going to be the last time you win anything. And he walks off and you're going, so yeah, well, what did they win? Meanwhile, you've got the commentators, as we get ready to go into a commercial break, they say, Keithley versus Miz and Morrison, 2-on-1, next. And you're going, well, wait a minute. Shouldn't Keithley been the one to break the news? It was poorly written. Sorry, I'm stickling for detail. But that was poorly written. It was poorly executed. I'm really surprised that between the three of those men, nobody picked up on, hey, you won. Yeah, you won. Congrats. Well, you know what you just won? Don't you want to know what you won? I mean, sure, you're happy you won, but don't you want to know what you won? I'm surprised that didn't come from Keithley. I'm surprised for Miz and Morrison. Hey, we won. We got heads. So, yeah. What did we win? I'm surprised that didn't come from those guys. Sure as hell would have been a little bit comedic if Miz and Morrison would have been able to play off of that for a little bit. Kind of pull a Tim and Eric. Speaking of which, Tim and Eric, it's almost time for that Crimbus special, if it hasn't already popped up yet. That's my favorite. I tell you what, man, I love pissing off my girl. Every year, I'm always watching the Tim and Eric Crimbus special. Never gets old. Never gets old in this house. Never gets old. Keithley taking on Miz and Morrison handicap match. Miz and Morrison going over. Closing moments of this one. Lee, he's doing a good job battling both guys. Connects with a clothesline to the Miz. Gives one to Morrison. Splash in the corner. Another one. Tosses Miz into Morrison. Or maybe it was the other way around. As Lee is lifting up Morrison, swings him into the Miz. He then tries to attempt the spirit bomb. But Morrison manages to wiggle his way out. Goes to the ropes. Bounces off to the ropes. Does a nice super kick to Lee. Miz, on the other hand, he comes right back. Boom. Kicks Keith in the face. Keithley now swings right back to Morrison. Morrison, boom. Another kick. And they're just basically doing this guy like a big old tree. And ultimately, both men, it takes both men to cover Keithley. So you get the 1, 2, 3. And Miz and Morrison pick up the W. Can anybody explain to me what in the blue hell was the purpose of this match? I did not see the point in this match. And Keithley suffered as a result of this match. This was mind-boggling. Look, if you want to have Keithley lose, I'm okay with that. Be smart about it, though. Go for a DQ finish. Go for a freaking DQ finish. Nothing wrong with that. Leah's still protected. It gives off the aura that, see, these guys in Miz and Morrison, they cannot beat, excuse me, they cannot beat Keithley straight up without any shenanigans. They got to resort to some type of, here's a case right here where the odds were in their favor, 2 against 1, and they still had to dig into a bag of tricks of shenanigans just to be able to beat Keithley. I looked at this and I just started going down memory lane a little bit, and I just couldn't help but say to myself, I remember the Attitude Era. So when Stone Cold Steve Austin was white fucking hot, would Steve Austin have lost to, would Steve Austin have lost in a tag team match? Would he have lost to Road Dogg and Billy Gunn? I don't know about that. I don't think so. Just kind of thinking about what was going on. I don't think so. Or how about let's go with another one. How about Hulk Hogan? Will the Hulkster have lost a match to Repo Man and the Monty? 2-on-1 hand. I don't think so. We'd be here all night. Let's go a little bit more recent. Well, okay, so would Cody ever lose a match to, let's see. Would Cody ever lose a match to Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela? 2-on-1 handicap? Probably not. Probably not. Would maybe Karrion Kross. Would Karrion Kross ever lose a handicap match to Cameron Grimes and what's another one? Cameron Grimes and what's the little dude? Leon Ruff. 2-on-1 handicap. I don't think so. So looking at this particular match, I just couldn't help but go, why the fuck are we having Keithley lose? You can try to paint the narrative all you want. Well, Lee, it took for 2 men to beat Keithley. You can give me that little analogy all you want. I would only accept that analogy if there was some interesting shenanigans going on. Referee distracted and foreign objects used, and I'd be fine with that. The way that it should have been a DQ finish. You know what I had screaming in my mind? And it's going to be screaming in my mind from here on now. Every single time I have questionable booking about the way Keithley is set up on these shows, I'm constantly now reminded, and those of you that watch the Keithley WWE documentary special, and if you haven't, I highly would encourage you to watch it. I reviewed it, I believe, on last Monday's RCWR show. But I'm reminded towards the end, when he got the call up and it was his Raw debut and everything, you got Vince McMahon. Look at what I got here. I got me a man's man. Look at it. Look at this. I mean, look what the hell I got. I got me a monster. Look at what the fuck I've got here. I've got me an athlete. What was his exact words? I'm pretty sure I have the exact words still on this tablet of mine here, and I'm pretty sure I can fucking find it real quick here. Here it is. I got it. I've got a hell of an athlete. Hell of a performer. Promo's good. And yet we get this garbage that we got tonight. let's bring it on back and let's tie in that silly little report that's floating around. I saw everybody and their mama was having a field day, making jokes and all kinds of other shit about Keithley, Performance Center, per Vince McMahon. I saw the reports that was put out there, just like you all had saw it. And I'll tell you guys straight up, as far as what I had to say about the Keithley situation on social media, I really didn't say too much. But here's what I said. Here's what I said. I said, and I quote, I said this on December 11th. December 11th. So last week, this is what I said, and I quote, "I'm sorry, but Vince McMahon had hours upon hours of footage on Keith Lee. If the reports are true that Lee is one of the guys sent back to the PC for additional training, I just can't help but be reminded of the image below from Keith's WWE 24 special. Fuck is Vince smoking?" And again, that's the, "I've got a hell of an athlete, hell of a performer, promo's good." And yet, okay, so you see Upstock with a certain talent, and yet we got what we got to, no. You gave this guy some of the biggest rubs to begin his career. You put this man in a position where he was getting a rub from Drew McIntyre. You put him in a position where he was getting a rub from Drew McIntyre. All right, so we've pretty much gone to those heights, and we've essentially just almost damn near flatlined. Now look, as much as I like The Miz, the one thing that I'll always say, sorry to The Miz, but Miz is hot. Once again, to the point that I made earlier, Miz is hot when he has a story arc that has all of us fans going, "Oh man," and we're eating out of the palm of his hands because he's bringing it on the microphone. And the story arc, I mean, it's riveting. You're there. Let's be honest, we haven't quite seen anything since his feud with Daniel Bryan. Once that cooled off, it pretty much was, And ever since Morrison has been back in the picture, no disrespect to Morrison, phenomenal freaking athlete. Phenomenal freaking athlete. I want to see the Morrison that I saw at Lucha Underground and Impact Wrestling. That's the Morrison I want. I don't want this WWE version of Morrison that we're getting right now, because I'm sorry, but as far as I'm concerned, not living up to its fullest, maximized, unlocked potential. I think we can all be in agreement of that. So, for me, having Keith Lee, no, you know what? If you wanted to have Keith Lee be associated with anything as far as the next feud goes or whatever, why not have him rub elbows a little bit with the Hurt Business? I don't understand that. With the way the odds are essentially stacked against Jeff Hardy and freaking, who's the other one? Matt Riddle. You know, yeah, you got New Day kind of mixed in there a little bit as well and everything, but you know, when you stop and really think about it, just really stop and think about it. Keith Lee, perfectly, easily, should be able to slide right in there. You got Kofi Kingston, you got Xavier Woods, you got Matt Riddle, you got Keith Lee. On the other side, you got the Hurt Business. You got MVP, you got Shelton Benjamin, you got Cedric Alexander. I'm missing a guy. Lashley. You got Lashley. So for me, yeah, those are my four guys, right? Lashley, MVP, Cedric Alexander, Shelton Benjamin. Yeah, there's my four guys. All right, so he slides perfectly right there. I don't understand, for the love of me, you know, what the fuck? And if you're going to do a numbers game, if there was any place where you do a numbers game, shenanigans and all that other shit, okay, Keith Lee, Hurt Biz, okay, yeah, they like to play the numbers. Stupid. It's just stupid what's going on. And it's, if you're a Keith Lee fan, it's a bit infuriating. It really, really is. I'm hoping that WWE pays close attention to the social media feedback, blowback, because there were definitely a decent amount of people that did not like what they saw tonight with the booking of Keith Lee. and hopefully they'll tighten that shit up going into the coming weeks. But not impressive. Not impressed with that whatsoever. All right, from there, Ricochet taking on Mace from Retribution. I did laundry at that point. I almost threw in the towel there. I didn't particularly care about that one. Dana Brooke taking on Shayna Baszler. Went and did something else. So I couldn't even tell you who won that. I did see the attack though, where Mandy Rose came in, kendo stick, Oscar coming in. I did see all that. Now riddle me this. Why would WWE promote that on next Monday's Raw, Lana will be facing Nia Jax one-on-one? Way to blow the load there, WWE, because, gee, I don't know. Call it common freaking sense, but don't you think it would have made more sense had you had Lana make a surprise appearance at WWE TLC? And to really stick it to Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax and extract some type of revenge for what those girls did to her on tonight's Monday Night Raw. It makes all the sense in the world for her to make some type of a cameo at TLC and somehow screw those girls that beat her down so badly out of a victory, especially if it involves those tag titles. And I'm actually looking at the card here, and from what I see, the women's tag titles are going to be on the line. So where is so much for the idea of, well, maybe Lana's going to show up at TLC, and he's like, no, she's just going to show up at Raw, and she wants another match with Nia Jax. So anyway, yeah, this was a weird show tonight, folks. This was a weird show, I gotta say. MVP taking on Matt Riddle, 48 seconds of a match. This is the match in a nutshell. MVP rushes the corner, tries to go in for a kick. Riddle sidesteps, running knee to the face. Riddle to the top, floating bro. Match is over. And I'm still not a fan of his bro nuts. He can keep all his nuts to himself as far as I'm concerned. Drew McIntyre decided to, actually that was closing out the show. Randy Orton made a little bit of a cameo. Randy Orton was in the house. He crashed the scene of a Firefly Funhouse segment that went down. Very weird seeing Bray bringing the Firefly Funhouse to the middle of the ring. It was kind of odd seeing the cast of misfits at ringside. You know what was also glaring and noticing? The theme song. I swear at least 3 to maybe 4 loops. We're really glad that you're our friend, and this is a friendship that'll never end. If you're feeling lonely today, throw all your cares away. We're really glad that you're our friend, and this is a friendship that'll never end. If you're feeling lonely today, throw all your cares away. We're really glad. It's like, okay, can we add a new verse? Jesus freaking Christ. I mean, I must have heard that shit at least 3 to 4 times. Just do the hook, go with the instrumental. If you gotta loop it back, come back 90 seconds later. What's so fucking hard about that? What is so fucking hard about that? God, times like that, I miss the fucking Attitude Era song. I remember when Stone Cold, we used to come out to the Broken Glass remix. And yeah, vocals that was added to it. And they were like, bring it on. And they went into the little guitar, little joint. You know, and Stone Cold had enough time to do what he needed to do and everything. He had about 90 seconds before it looped on back again and everything. It's like, that was glaringly irritating. I don't know if you guys have peeped that out tonight, but that was glaringly irritating. But no, I kind of felt that Bray Wyatt in the middle of the ring doing the whole Mr. Rogers gimmick there, I just felt it was a little bit too too out in the open. Let's go back to just him in the pre-produced segments doing the wacky. Didn't have the same alluring, charismatic effectiveness as the others did. But Randy Orton, and the way it was booked by the writers, I think it was saved by Randy Orton interrupt, so now we're kind of flipping the script a little bit, where Randy's the one interrupting and saying, hey, I want to play a game with you. Let's play a game of hide and go seek. So Randy's hiding. Bray is the one seeking him out. Leads somewhere backstage. Bray Wyatt comes across an old nice throwback to a previous version of Wyatt that we're all used to. As I used to say on the show back in the day, what was it? I think one time I did a Bray Wyatt promo that you guys had liked so much. I remember I used to have a field day just weekly making fun of Bray Wyatt. I think the one I did was on M&M's or something like that. So for you newer listeners, if you've never seen it, so basically when Bray Wyatt was running around and he had the white pants on and a Hawaiian shirt and all that, he's like, it's got the whole world in its hands, man. I used to say some shit like, I used to say some stupid shit like, M&M's melt in your mouth, not in your hands. I used to say some stupid shit like that. Follow the rainbow, taste the rainbow. I used to say some stupid little crazy shit like that. Follow the buzzards and blow out all the lights and shit. Crazy times back then. Crazy times. Those were the good old days. So he sees his old rocking chair. So Wyatt decides, and you're just going, man, this seems like a Wile E. Coyote episode here. And, Road Runner, let's set this up properly. Wile E. Coyote, he's put some explosive shit in some bird seeds. So basically, when Roadrunner pops up, meep, meep, and he starts, as soon as he eats it, his ass is going to blow up. I don't think Coyote thought that far, because if Roadrunner does blow up, there's going to be parts everywhere, so he's not going to have a whole bird to eat. He might have a cooked bird somewhat, but he's not going to have a whole bird to eat, because all the parts are going to be all over the place. So there's a beautifully ruined meal right there. But in either case, so Coyote has put explosives in the bird seeds. And yeah, so he pops up, he eats them, he explodes. Simple as that. Well, Roadrunner pops up, sees the bait, takes the bait. He doesn't explode. Coyote's wondering, well, what the hell? Coyote goes, takes some of the bird seeds, put it in his mouth, and he fucking explodes. And he looks at the camera like, boy, that was stupid, wasn't it? That's what Bray Wyatt looking at this rocking chair. That's the perfect analogy. If you guys don't get that analogy, I can't help you after that. So he takes the bait, and you're like, oh, Randy Orton's got to be. Sure enough, Randy Orton is somewhere in the darkness, pops up from behind, beats the crap out of Wyatt, puts him in this wooden box, and sets the motherfucker on fire. All of a sudden, I've got Alice in Chains in my head. I'm the man in the box, buried in my shit. I'm just going there. And we're going, okay, so what's going to happen right here? Like, it's burning. So what we're watching Randy Orton do is beyond wrestling terminology. We're watching Bray Wyatt commit fucking murder. Where's the officials? Like, what's going on here? But somehow Bray Wyatt cues his Bill Bixby turning into Lou Ferrigno's Green Hawk and busts out of the box as the Fiend and starts beating the holy bejesus out of Randy Orton. I'll have to rely on you guys, because at this point I actually had started to make dinner for my little lady. Did it end with Randy Orton getting choked out again by the Fiend? I got to ask you, because when I left, I just saw The Fiend, once again, the mandible claw down Randy Orton's throat. And it kind of seemed to me, well, that's basically it. So let me know how that had played out. But, now you kind of wonder, well, exactly what kind of shape is Randy going to be in going into the pay-per-view on Sunday. Closing out the show, Drew McIntyre, Highlander get up once again. This was a promo moment basically between he and AJ Styles. AJ Styles bringing up the fact, Drew, you and I, we never wrestled before. What's going to happen this Sunday? It's a first. Hey, look, it took you 19 years to become a WWE World Champion. 19 years. Look at how long it took me upon coming to the WWE. So AJ rubbing it in to Drew on that standpoint, but then also bringing up the fact that, hey, look, Drew, not for nothing, I've held that exact WWE title before, and I also defended it in a ladder match, something that you've never done before. So basically, odds are stacked against Drew, is what AJ was saying. AJ, in a nutshell, Drew, your inexperience are going to be the keys to my victory this Sunday. So ultimately, leads into a brawl between AJ, Drew. AJ, for the most part, getting the upper hand. Ozma's almost just, kind of standing by, not really doing too much. He never got physical. Closing moments, Drew was getting ready to look for his signature Claymore to AJ, but AJ's guy, Amos, tosses the ring steps into the ring. As Drew is distracted, AJ comes from behind, clips Drew's legs, does a phenomenal forearm to Drew, then calls for a ladder. Amos sends a ladder into the ring. Drew is in the corner. At this point, AJ just pretty much throws a ladder at Drew, beating his body up with that ladder. Asks for a chair. Big man gives him a chair. AJ smacking that into him a little bit. Sets the ladder up in the corner. Sends Drew into it. Once again, Amos sets up a table on the outside as AJ slides a ladder in the ring. Once the table, that same table by Amos, slides that into the ring, does Amos. AJ sends Drew through the table, climbs the ladder, grabs the title. That's pretty much the end of WWE RAW. So, is that a taste of things to come? Or, is Drew McIntyre going to freaking... We'll talk about that in a hot second. Let's look at what you guys had to say with the polling results once again. So right now, I'm seeing on Twitter, 43% of you are giving this week's Raw a thumbs down. Meanwhile, 57% of you are giving it a thumbs up. Let's see what you guys are saying on YouTube here. Again, YouTube at the RCWR Show. Let's see what you guys are saying. 25% of you are giving the show a thumbs down. Meanwhile, 75% of you are giving it a thumbs up. I repeat, over on YouTube, 25% of you are giving it a thumbs down. 75% of you are giving it a thumbs up. Shout out to everybody that had cast their votes. Please, if you didn't vote, keep it rocking, keep it rolling. No need to double dip. Just pick an outlet and cast your vote that way. Let your voice be heard. You can also comment as well if you like. You guys been enjoying the show so far? If you have, please do me a huge favor. Make sure if you haven't done so already, hit the like button. Especially if you're checking it out via YouTube, hit the like button. Or if you happen to be listening to this, will be listening to this on demand and on the downloads, hit the like, heart, subscribe, all that. Helps out. Spread the word, man. Helps out. But yes. Loads more action we're going to be getting into. Hey, so some quick programming notes, all right? So, again, this is Old Man Lee Week. You guys should kind of be able to figure that out by now. So we're kicking it off with this show. Monday night, right? Tuesday night, I'm going to be doing another special edition of Impact Showdown. And I think at this point, Impact Showdown, it's probably going to be a little late when I'll be dropping that episode. I'll probably be coming on. I'm going to try to do my very best to catch Impact. It's going to be a first because I'm actually going to have to try to watch the first hour and a half while I'm at work. And I don't know how the hell I'm going to be able to pull that off. Because as far as visually, I already know I'm not going to be able to watch given the line of work I'm in. But I am going to be able to listen. So, there's a big difference between watching, listening. So I'm hoping I can, it depends. But I'm definitely going to try to do my best to see if I can do another special edition of Impact Showdown. If I cannot, then worst case scenario, I'll do an Impact Showdown on Wednesday. It just depends on when Impact Plus is going to make the newest episode be available. That's pretty much what it comes down to. Also, mark your calendars this Thursday, which will be December the 17th. I'll be making a special appearance. Been a good minute, but I will be making a special appearance on Wrestling Soup with my good pals, Anthony Missionary Thomas and Joey Numbers. So look out for that. To my knowledge, I am supposed to be there for the entire show. So always a good time whenever I get an opportunity to hook up with Mish. And it's been a good minute since we did a little collaboration or, just hung out on a show or whatever. I think the last time we did something, I'm trying to think, I think the last time we did something, I was kind of going a little Tony Atlas, talking about some of my kinks in the bedroom. So I think that might have been earlier this year. I'm not really sure. Yeah, I gotta stop and think about it. I think that was the last time. So tune in for that. That's gonna be a fun show. Friday. Let me look at the calendar here for Friday. Friday looks pretty good. Friday, I think I'm gonna be coming on after SmackDown goes off the air. We'll see. But then Sunday, we definitely got the TLC pay-per-view event post-show. So, good stuff that we got lined up for you guys. So tune in. Loads of good content coming in. So did you notice when checking out tonight's Monday Night Raw that there was no graphic paying homage to Tommy Lister? I mean, that's great that WWE did their thing on social media, on their website. That's great and everything. Now, look, I haven't been watching SmackDown the past couple of weeks because, full disclosure, I've only been interested in the Roman Reigns stuff. And after that, I pretty much yawn. And the booking of Kevin Owens. Look, I'm a big fan of Kevin Owens. I am. But what they're doing with him right now, it's 50-50 booking. It's like, wait a minute. You spent all this time booking Kevin Owens this particular way, and now all of a sudden I'm supposed to take him as a legit threat to Roman Reigns' title run? Man, miss me with that. You got to do better than that. Yeah. And it's not Kevin Owens' fault. That's the fault of creative and the writers. They're the ones that put themselves in that corner with Kevin Owens. You're trying to materialize something out of nothing, essentially. So that's my gripe. Nothing personal. Never. It's never anything personal against the talents. So for me, I've just been interested in the Kevin Owens stuff and the Roman Reigns stuff, and that's pretty much been it. So I'll have to rely on you guys. But did this past Friday's SmackDown, was there any type of a tribute to Tommy Lister? Let me know. But the fact that we didn't see anything on the flagship show Raw, I was just baffled at that. I really, really was. And if I were to even try to defend WWE a little bit on this instance, maybe this might have been a Vince McMahon call where, man, literally just last week, wasn't it Pat Patterson? Like, nah, man, I just, it seems like weekly we're just coming on Nah, but you know what? You still should have paid homage to Tommy Lister. You still should have. Teach its own, but me personally, I still feel you should have paid your respects to the man. But yeah, Tommy Lister, y'all pretty much know him from the Friday movies as Diva. That's definitely one of my all-time favorites. See him ride up on that bicycle, looking like a damn Crip. What's up, Craig? Oh man. And I was just talking about one of my favorite scenes from The Dark Knight, where he played the prison inmate. You talk about a critical scene there, where he says to the warden, "Give it to me. Give it to me, and I'll show you what you should have done and how it will go. Give it to me. You can put the blame on me. No one else has to know. I'll do what you should have done. Give it to me. It's the right thing to do." Had that such a iconic scene. He was the freaking president in The Fifth Element. So many fun, memorable moments. I'm a big fan of old school TV. And, sadly with YouTube TV, we don't get Me TV. That's probably been the one play me a violin as far as channels that I miss dearly. I miss Me TV. I miss watching episodes of Mannix, Cannon, the Andy Griffith Show. What else did they have on there? Spingoolie. I miss watching Saturday nights, the movie of the week with Spingoolie, and hearing his corny jokes that only I understood because I'm a nerd. But Matlock, in the early morning going into the afternoon, they would show Perry Mason, Matlock, in the heat of the night. And Tommy Lister actually was on an episode of Matlock. So he played a bodyguard, a prison bodyguard for Matlock while he was there. I think he was visiting somebody, one of his clients or whatever. And Tommy Lister was there. When you look up his IMDb profile, he's got Tommy Lister, that is, he has over 200 movie credits to his resume. Over 200 movie credits. So this is a man, you can be honest and you can say that for the most part, he was always booked as a heavy type of actor. And what I mean by that terminology, if you've never heard that before, he was always booked as, either some type of a big body, for somebody. He was booked as some type of you don't want to fuck with him because he's going to knock your head off your shoulders. He was always booked as a muscle when it's all said and done for a lot of the stuff that you saw him in. Usually he'd play a bad guy. And of course, everybody, it's so funny because when you look at things from the pro wrestling perspective, when you look at how brief his tie-in to the professional wrestling world was, it wasn't really that long, but it left such a profound impact on the wrestling industry. I gotta tell you, I was quite taken back by many people on social media that were very quick to, Zeus, oh, Z Gangster. If I didn't see one of those two things mentioned with his name, it was always Fridays, Debo. And hey, that's cool. But yeah, particularly when you look at his pro wrestling career, very brief. We're not talking about a guy that was involved in pro wrestling for 5 years. When you add it up all together, we're talking about a guy that was essentially involved in wrestling. If you were to just add up all of the months, maybe if you were lucky, between WWF, World Wrestling Council, and WCW, if you were to add it all up, would that even be 8 months? I wonder. Nowhere near a year, for sure. Nowhere near a year. I'd be shocked if it was a year. Because, I mean, he did WWF like 1989 to 1990, and that basically coincided with the movie No Holds Barred. And basically, the character he played in No Holds Barred was essentially the character that he decided to, bring over to the WWF. Most simplistic storyline that you can ever come up with that was very relatable to the audience, which was, Tommy Lister, aka Zeus, didn't like the fact that the Hulkster went over on him during No Holds Barred, and that in the real world, there's just no way that the Hulkster could even lace up his boots against Zeus. That in the real world, Zeus would own his ass. And just the way Zeus was owning the Hulkster for those series of weeks. I mean, no selling like a motherfucker. Hit him from behind with a clothesline or double axe handle. He ain't no selling that. I mean, it's like he's an impenetrable juggernaut mutant freak. You think you're going to be able to hit him with a steel chair? It does not faze Zeus. It was brilliant the way that it was booked. The feud between he and the Hulkster there. And everything culminating 1989 SummerSlam tag team match that saw the Hulkster team up with Brutus the Barber Beefcake to take on Macho Man and Zeus. I mean, definitely one of my favorite SummerSlams, from back in the day. And what's very depressing, I must say, what's very depressing. You want to have yourself a look at that 1989 SummerSlam card. And what a depressing fucking card. From this standpoint, the card from top to bottom was awesome, but it's depressing from this standpoint. There's a lot of people that's not with us anymore. Dino Bravo taking on Coco Beware. It was a dark match, but those guys no longer with us. The Brainbusters, Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard with Bobby Heenan taking on the Hart Foundation's Bret Hart, Jim Neidhart. Well, as we know, Jim Neidhart no longer with us. Bobby the Brain Heenan no longer with us. Dusty Rhodes taking on the Honky Tonk Man. Dusty Rhodes no longer with us. Mr. Perfect taking on the Red Rooster. Well, we know Mr. Perfect is no longer with us. The Ultimate Warrior, rest in peace, taking on Rick Rude, no longer with us. Rest in peace. The Fabulous Rugals taking on, and Rick Martel taking on the Rockers, Marty Jannetty, Shawn Michaels, Tito Santana. Hey, look, those guys, they're still with us, so that's good. That's good, right? Let's celebrate that. Demolition, Axe and Smash, and King Duggan taking on Andre the Giant, rest in peace, and the Twin Towers, Akeem, and Big Boss Man, rest in peace. Akeem, one man gang, basically. Greg the Hammer Valentine taking on Hercules. Rest in peace. Ted DiBiase taking on the late Jimmy Snuka. And Hulk Hogan, Brutus the Barber Beefcake with Miss Elizabeth. Miss Elizabeth no longer with us. Taking on Randy Savage, no longer with us. Zeus, no longer with us. So, I mean, when you look at this WrestleMania card total of 10 matches, and you think about, okay, here we are in 2020. We're now at a point right now where there's only a handful of people that are still among the living that were at this 1989 SummerSlam card. I mean, we've got about maybe, I think 50%, if we're lucky, we've got about 50% of those that were at this 1989 SummerSlam that still amongst the living. But yeah, it's just kind of depressing when you kind of just take a step back and you think about it there. And for those of you wondering as far as new information on the cause of death, nothing has been put out there just yet. The only thing that we know about Tommy Lister so far is the report that was put out there, confirmed, doubled down and all that by his agent / publicist, which was just 4 to 5 months ago. He was diagnosed with COVID and he managed to beat it. And he was spending his time during this pandemic, mostly by himself, working out. Publicist / agent said he was getting in the best shape that they've seen him in quite a long time. He actually was, I believe he was in between filming, or he was getting ready to film. And he was complaining about chest pain. He was complaining about having a hard time breathing. And he was certain that he had COVID-like symptoms once again. He thought also at the same time maybe it had something to do with his diabetes. He got diagnosed. Now, keep in mind, he died at the age of 62. But he got diagnosed with diabetes at the age of 55. So, Jesus, to be 55 and get diagnosed with diabetes. But his publicist / agent, okay, well, we'll take you the next day, and which was supposed to be Thursday. It's like, we'll take you Thursday, see if we can get you checked out, make sure everything is good. And as we all know, those of us that's been following the story, he basically was found unresponsive in his apartment out in California, and reviving and all that failed. So quite unfortunate. But definitely one of my favorite underrated actors. I would have to say. Always gave you some memorable roles. 1 minute could be very serious in the role he was cast in, and in another minute he could be cast in a comedic tone. That you take him as a serious menacing force, but there was also comedic aspects to it. That it was interesting. It was interesting. He was definitely, and that trademark eye. Pretty much like Peter Falk as Columbo. He was legally blind in that eye of his. He could not see out of that eye. And yeah, he could have got some surgery done or some other stuff. I mean, obviously, he wouldn't have been able to restore his vision, but he could have did some stuff to kind of balance out that side and make it catch up to the other side. But, who would have thunk it that would go on to be his signature trademark, so to speak, in the movies and TV shows that he was cast in and everything. You know what? Speaking of TV shows, I was talking about Matlock. One other thing that we got to remember, he was cast as one of the first Klingons. I know a lot of people, they look at Michael Dorn, Worf. They look at him as, hey, this is the first, official, cool kick-ass Klingon. But in the Star Trek mythology, I want to say it was Star Trek Enterprise with Scott Bakula, if I'm not mistaken. You Trekkie fans out there, please correct me if I'm wrong. But I want to say it was Star Trek Enterprise, where Star Trek Enterprise is basically, if I remember my mythology right, that was before Star Trek with Captain Kirk and crew. And if I remember it right, on Enterprise, Tommy Lister had portrayed the very first Klingon that, before Worf and before Captain Kirk and those freaking Klingons, everything kicked off. So yeah, he was part of a long, impressive resume. Like I said, he had about over 200 credits to his name and everything. And here's a guy that grew up in the rough parts in California. He grew up in Compton. And look, let me tell you something. the year that I was out there in California, which was 90 going into fall 91. So I definitely was there during the riots. Let me tell you, and I lived in Rialto. As some of you guys know, when it comes to the freaking riots, when it came to those riots out there, when it came to the Rodney King beating and all that. Now, if I remember it right, because sometimes as I've gotten older, my terminology, not my terminology, but I get brain farts from time to time. So when I was there from 90 going into 91, I definitely was living out there during the Rodney King beating. And I remember when the riots had imploded out there. But as far as the riots of 92, wow, you know what? Now that I stop and think about it, I think I was living in California a little bit longer. I think I actually might have been living in California. I think I might have been in California from 90 going into 92. Now that I stop and really think about it, 90 to 92, because I came to DC fall of 92. I remember that for a fact because I had my birthday like 8 weeks later, basically. So I became a teenager in DC. That much I remember. Yeah, so I think I was actually in California 90 to 92. But yeah, I lived in Rialto, and Rodney King was from that area, and it's kind of rough out there, not quite like Compton. Compton is definitely a different beast, but you had gang turfs and all that shit going on back then. And so obviously this man, Tommy Lister, exposed to one side of the coin in life, but then was exposed to another side. And okay, you can either go with this or you can go with that. And you know what? He did pretty good for himself in his life. I mean, he was able to go on to school, read up on him, I'm not saying he was a philosopher or a very well educated man or anything like that, but when you read up on him and everything, put it to you this way: there was a lot more to him than just the bald head, the eye, and the muscles. There was a lot more to him than that. So rest in power, Tommy Lister. Quite sad when we're so close to ushering in a new calendar year and we hear that, oh man, here's another one. 40 years of an acting career when it's all said and done. 200 acting credits to his resume, but a 40-year career. Jeez. Man, you can't top that. You can't top that. But I definitely checked out the WWE Network. Was checking out some of his stuff. Zeus definitely checked out the Z Gangster stuff from WCW and all that. And fond memories. That's all I gotta say. So rest in power, Tommy Lister. Sorry I was a little bit long-winded there, but that's what happens sometimes. Sometimes you just reminisce and you kind of get lost on the track of time there. All right, let's see. We got some more news we can get into. So I saw, kind of lift your spirits up a little bit more here, right? Let's talk a little non-wrestling, and then we'll go back into some more wrestling, finish it out with some wrestling stuff. So I saw the announcement that was made by Marvel Studios boss Kevin Feige that he brought to Comic-Con with a just big old platter of Marvel Comics universe announcements and everything. And my God, I mean, this was like freaking Christmas when it's all said and done. I mean, we got the announcement for movies. We got the announcement for Marvel exclusive Disney Plus shows. This was it right here. So first off, Marvel Studios Fantastic Four movie. No further details are known right now about this project, what we can expect and everything. Here's what we do know. For the longest time, Fantastic Four, it was a Fox property. That much, we did know. And the way it sounds that it's being operated right now, Spider-Man Homecoming director John Watts is currently developing the Fantastic Four movie, which is going to finally introduce Reed, Sue, Johnny, Ben to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm hoping, my honest takeaway, it would be too much for that upcoming Spider-Man movie, but I would just love if we could at least get some type of a backdrop or something of the Fantastic Four Tower in the next Spider-Man movie. Because for me, as a longtime comic book fan, even though I haven't read regularly comics, on a monthly basis for years upon years, as a kid, I could always remember picking up a Spider-Man comic book or a Fantastic Four comic book. And Spider-Man was there was always some type of a crossover between Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four. He was kind of like one of those unsung, unofficial members of the Fantastic Four. So, honestly, I hope that we begin to see some type of a subtle drop. And if they could kind of begin it in the next Spider-Man movie, that would be pretty badass. Captain Marvel 2, that sequel, it's set to open sometime late 2022. Candyman director Nia DaCosta is officially joining the MCU to helm that sequel. So, looking forward to that. That should be good. Miss Marvel, that's going to be a Disney Plus series. Iman Vellani is going to be starring as Kamala Khan in the upcoming Miss Marvel Disney Plus series, which is currently being filmed in Atlanta. In addition to showing off the very first footage of the show, Kevin Feige revealed that Vellani will be starring alongside Brie Larson in Captain Marvel 2, along with the adult version of Monica Rambeau, who is played by Tiana Paris. Hopefully I pronounced that. If I did not pronounce it correctly, I apologize in advance. The series will debut in late 2021, introducing a 16-year-old Pakistani American who is obsessed with Carol Danvers. So officially, we're going to be seeing Kamala Khan in Captain Marvel 2, and then from there goes into her own series. Fucking brilliant. I saw that there were a couple people on social media that were saying, man, it would be kind of cool if we could eventually see a Miles Morales take to the big screen, blah, 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 blah. But it's kind of like, well, wait a minute now. We can't just, bam. We can't just do it like that. We've got to continue to build upon what we've been doing right now. And by the way, I do see some of the comments that's being said in the chat right now. And I hate to go off topic, but if you notice that I don't bring up a particular thing that you say in the chat, it's not done with ill intent. It's just sadly, it doesn't link up to the main topic that I'm talking about. So please don't take it personal. If it meets what I'm talking about, and I guess I should kind of, for those of you that's going to be listening to the audio, you're kind of like, well, what's going on in the chat? At one point, we were just going down memory lane, particularly of the 1989 SummerSlam card. And it's kind of going a little bit all over the place now as far as other people that are not among the living anymore. But the real emphasis I was trying to home in on was just that SummerSlam 1989 card. So, but that's what happens sometimes. Us wrestling fans, teach its own. We kind of reminisce. We go down that rabbit hole of people that either died during the course of the whole year. And, me personally, the last thing I'm going to be doing to close out 2020 is going over all the people that died in 2020, because what ultimately trumps that overall has been the amount of lives that's been lost during this whole pandemic. Nothing is going to top that. One thing that we can all agree upon, besides the lives that were lost to this pandemic, other lives that just were lost along the way this year. For those families, even to our own Justin Ripstock, who lost his dad and had the funeral for him last week, if I'm not mistaken. There is no, okay, another Thanksgiving. There is no Christmas. There is no, all that folks like Justin and everybody else has are the memories, and somehow over time, one day at a time, they gotta somehow string it together. You feel where I'm coming from? So yeah, trust me, the last thing I'm going to do especially to close out 2020, I'm not going down a rabbit hole of mentioning all the people that's no longer with us, because we'd be here all goddamn night. Let's stay on topic though. So that Kamala Khan Miss Marvel movie, I'm looking forward to that. The TV series, that should be pretty badass. And I gotta say, honestly, I've become quite a fan of Kamala Khan, ultimately, thanks to Square Enix's Avengers. I like the freaking character. I never gave two shits about the character until that Avengers game came along, and I thought that was a beautiful. I hope that with the interest, I hope that with this Kamala Khan tie-in to Captain Marvel 2 and ultimately the Kamala Khan series, the Miss Marvel series, I hope that eventually it will trickle down to the Square Enix Avengers game, because that Avengers game, it did not break even. It did not break even. They're still struggling as we speak. I remember there was a recent Black Friday extended sale that had went down, and look at how quickly that Marvel's Avengers game had dropped. It went from 60 to 30. So if you missed out on that, better look out for the next one. But yeah, let's talk about some more of these great films that's going to be coming out pretty soon here. Let me where's my list here? Here it is. All right. Wanda Vision. Looking forward to this one. That's a Disney Plus series. That's set to premiere January 2021. And the footage so far, it's been described as a fever dream numerous times as we see the MCU get mashed up with classic sitcoms from TV history. Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany lead the cast, which also features Tiana Paris, adult version of Monica Rambeau, who is also in Miss Marvel and in Captain Marvel 2. And a new trailer of that was revealed. Looks pretty badass. Also, this one I'm looking forward to the most. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Disney Plus original series. Sebastian Stan and Anthony Mackie. They were supposed to star in the very first Disney Plus Marvel series. However, the Falcon and Winter Soldier had got delayed until next year. Kevin Feige and crew know that fans have been waiting months to see the first substantial look at the series, so he presented a trailer, and I gotta tell you, the trailer, if you haven't seen the trailer yet, go peep it out. Looks pretty damn good. Falcon and Winter Soldier. So again, we were supposed to be getting it this year, and then it was, oh well, January. It sounds like we're going to be getting it. We heard the January reports, but now officially it's been pushed back to looks like it's been pushed back to March 19th, 2021. Again, March 19th, 2021. It's been pushed back. Loki, Disney Plus series. Loki is set to debut on Disney Plus May 2021. That's going to be featuring the God of Mischief as he steps out of his brother's shadows in a new series that takes place after the events of Avengers Endgame. Tom Hiddleston returns as the title character, joined by Owen Wilson, Sophia DiMartino, Richard E. Grant, Kate Herron directs Loki, and Michael Warden is the head writer. Kevin Feige describes the series as a crime thriller. So that should be a very interesting series. I saw the trailer for that. It looks pretty good. Black Panther 2. So officially, what we know about Black Panther 2 right now is that this movie is going to be happening Ryan Coogler is still set to direct the sequel, which is going to be in theaters on July 8th, 2022. Now, the biggest piece of news that came from this announcement was that with regards to Chad Boswick portraying the iconic Black Panther character, that will not be recast. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how they go about addressing the King of Wakanda. Yeah, I can't wait to see how they're gonna do this. I'm very, very curious how you do a sequel without recasting. Yeah, yeah, that's the one where you want to have a big asterisk and question mark by. But you know what? If anybody can pull off something successfully, director Ryan Coogler. Let's remember he was the guy behind, Creed and Creed 2 there as far as directing it goes. Let's remember that now. If anybody can pull off something, him and the good people at Marvel, they should be able to get the job done. So I'm very confident in that. She-Hulk Disney Plus series. She-Hulk is being described as a new comedy series that's going to be coming to Disney Plus. And it's going to be starring Tatiana Maslany as She-Hulk, a.k.a. Jennifer Walters, a lawyer who specializes in superhuman-oriented legal cases. Maslany previously denied having any involvement with the series. She-Hulk will welcome a host of Marvel characters to the series, including Hulk, played by Mark Ruffalo, and the Abomination, played by Tim Roth. The series is directed by Kate Coro and Anu Valai, while Jessica Gallo is the head writer. Okay, so once again, we're going to be seeing Mark Ruffalo come back as the Hulk, and we're going to get to see Tim Roth back as Abomination. Very interesting right here, because the one thing that we need to remember, and I know a lot of fans have been wanting to see for years a new Hulk movie. We need to remember that Hulk is not the property of Disney. It's not. It is the property of Universal Pictures. So this relationship that Universal continues to have with Disney/Marvel, I find it to be very fascinating, and I just can't help but wonder at the same time, when is Universal going to go on ahead, pull the trigger and say, okay, look at how Marvel has been able to work with Sony on Spider-Man. Look at that. Okay, we got to come in and we got to try to capitalize. What can we do? They're in a really good position here, and I tell you what, to continue to not take advantage of this, it's a disservice not only to the fans, but it's a disservice to them as well, as far as continuing to expand upon that universe and everything. It's like, why even have the property if you're not even going to do anything with it that you're respected in? Hawkeye Disney Plus series. Hawkeye is set to debut on Disney Plus sometime late 2021. The series stars Jeremy Renner. Jeremy Renner is back, baby! As our favorite Clint Barton, who teams up with another well-known archer from the Marvel Comics in Kate Bishop, who is officially played by Haley Steinfeld. Like Tatiana Maslany, Steinfeld previously denied having anything to do with the MCU. The cast also includes Vera Farmiga, Frey Free, Tony Dalton, names sound familiar to you guys, Zahn McLaren, Brian Darcy James, and newcomer Alaqua Cox as Maya Lopez. Hawkeye is helmed by Reyes Thomas and directing duo Bert and Birdie. You heard me right, Bert and Birdie. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. This is the highly anticipated third installment of the Ant-Man franchise. The movie is officially titled Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and it will feature Jonathan Majors as the villainous Kang the Conqueror. Catherine Newton has joined the cast as an adult version of Cassie Lang, Okay. Peyton Reed returns to direct. Great. That's great. Phenomenal what Peyton did as a director there. That's awesome. Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, Michael Douglas, and Michelle Pfeiffer all set to return to the franchise. It's believed that the sequel will dive further into the quantum realm. Well, it makes a lot of sense given the name of the movie. Moon Knight, Disney Plus series. One of my favorite underrated Marvel characters, right up there with Darkhawk, Sleepwalker, and Silver Surfer. You can't do a Fantastic Four movie, by the way, without incorporating Silver Surfer. Just saying. Come on now. Moon Knight is a new series created for Disney Plus, and it was briefly brought up by Kevin Feige, directed by Mohamed Diab. The action adventure features a complex vigilante who suffers from dissociative identity disorder, so a bit of bipolar there. The multiple identities who live inside him are distinct characters who appear against a backdrop of Egyptian iconography. It has been reported that Star Wars sequel trilogy star Oscar Isaac is the star of the new series, but Feige did not bring it up. Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special that's coming to Disney Plus. This is going to be happening during the 2022 holiday season, written and directed by James Gunn, who, as we all know, is going to be behind the next Guardians movie there. I'm very curious. Not much is known about this one right now, so very curious how this one's going to play out. What If? Eagerly been anticipating this. What If flips the script on Marvel Cinematic Universe, reimaging famous events from the movies in unexpected and fresh ways. Coming to Disney Plus summer 2021. Marvel Studios' first animated series will focus on different heroes from the MCU, featuring a voice cast that includes a host of stars who reprise their roles. Series directed by Brian Andrews. Ashley Bradley is the head writer. Looking forward to that one. And then this one really took everybody by storm. Secret Invasion. The project is a newly announced series heading to Disney Plus, and it stars Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury and Ben Mendelsohn as the Skrull Talos characters who first met in Captain Marvel. The crossover comic event series showcases a faction of shape-shifting Skrulls who have been infiltrating Earth for years. MCU fans are wondering how this series will connect to the bigger screen when it gets further along in development. Thor, Love and Thunder. We heard about this last summer, but we finally got the big announcement. Christian Bale. We loved him as Batman. He's back in the Marvel, or rather he's back in the comic universe once again. He will be playing in the highly anticipated sequel. He's going to be portraying the main antagonist, Gore, the God Butcher. Takia Waititi is back to direct. Chris Hemsworth is back. Tessa Thompson and Natalie Portman. Some of the Guardians of the Galaxy cast, that includes Chris Pratt's Star-Lord, will be making appearances in this movie as well. And then, of course, Blade, Mahershala Ali. We know what's going on with that. We don't know anything else right now. All we know right now is that the storyline, the developments, everything's coming along. Okay, great. But show us some stuff already. One of my personal favorites, Ironheart. Riri Williams. Looking forward to this. This was another one that got a lot of people riled up and everything. Williams was first introduced to the Marvel Comics back in 2016. And everybody has been wondering ever since the unfortunate ending of Avengers Endgame, Robert Downey Jr. no longer being involved in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Okay, well, how can we bridge the gap there to the next Iron Man? So this, I can't wait to see how this comes together. Armor Wars, Disney Plus series. Armor Wars is based on the classic Marvel comic series. It's going to be coming to Disney Plus, and it stars Don Cheadle as James Rhodes, aka War Machine, who must face what happens when Tony Stark's tech falls into the wrong hands. This storyline is something that Stark always feared, and now he's gone and can't do anything about it. Luckily, Rhodes is on the case. Will Hammer Industries CEO Justin Hammer, Sam Rockwell, make a return? That's what has a lot of fans guessing right now. I have to wait and see. I Am Groot, Disney Plus series. So, Baby Tree Groot is going to be in a series of original shorts. And that's pretty much all we know right now, but except there will be some fellow Guardians that will be dropping by from time to time. And that is pretty much the entire lineup for the next couple of years there. So, I mean, a lot of stuff to take in there, a lot to process. This current Marvel phase sounds like it's going to be rocking and rolling. And to the point that was made earlier about, well, we should recast Wolverine and we can leave Wolverine alone for a couple of more years. We're more than okay. We've got all of these nice, fun, colorful characters, all of these new properties that got acquired by Disney/Marvel. Let's go ahead, let's play around with those for a little bit and let's see what happens and take it from there. So seems like it's in good hands right now. So that's good. That is damn good. All right, so get into some wrestling stuff here. I checked out WWE's Untold on Goldberg. I highly recommend that you guys, if you didn't watch it yet on the WWE Network, do yourselves a favor and check it out. I'm not going to do a full-blown, long-winded review and talk about it for like 15. I'm not going to do that. I will give you just a couple of bullet points, things that jumped out to me and everything, and that's pretty much it. What I will say, if you are looking for a Bill Goldberg that is very candid, wears his heart on his sleeve, I mean, you can see it clear as day. Someone that is very humble, truly reflective at the same time, while taking self-accountability. You will find that in this WWE Untold on Bill Goldberg. You will find all of that and then some. And it was nice hearing Goldberg in his own words. And this wasn't no recycled stuff with Goldberg. Oh, something from 2000, whenever was the last time No, this was him in his own words. I don't know when this was filmed. I don't know if it was filmed this year. Kind of seemed like it. Kevin Nash's stuff. Kevin Nash appears on this as well. Obviously, this happened right before he got the surgery there for his eye. Shout out to him. Hopefully he has a speedy recovery with that. Boy, I tell you, having a quick sidebar, having a 82-inch flat screen TV that can, show you shit in 4K and all that. God, I was able to see Goldberg, Kevin Nash, and a few other people in a whole new different light. I mean, just the amount of makeup that was put on these guys. I mean, I can see the wrinkles, I can see the scars, I can see a whole lot of stuff, man. But anyway, hearing Bill Goldberg in his own words talk about the streak, being reflective on it, how it came about, I would say to any younger WWE fan out there, I would say to any younger wrestling fan out there that was not around, sadly, when the Monday Night War was just so white hot, and when Bill Goldberg made his debut and he just had that whole 170 streak going on. I know when you see Bill Goldberg today, it's kind of hard to go, wait a minute, this man was a big deal. Some almost 20 years ago, basically. 2000, 25 years ago. This guy was a big deal like 25 years ago. What the fuck? And he was legitimately a big deal. He summed it up perfectly. He described the whole Bill Goldberg character. He described it as Bruiser Brody meets Mike Tyson meets Bill Goldberg, just all mixed up in one. And I mean, he summed it up beautifully. He really did. Having the football background that Goldberg had, I don't think, if it wasn't for that background, I don't think that character would have worked at the time and place when it did and everything. But this was a pivotal moment in wrestling history. It was a really great time to be a wrestling fan, because when this Bill Goldberg guy came along, you know, you're first looking at him and you're going, Stone Cold Steve Austin wannabe. Won't he change his name to Cold Stone, or whatever already? Like, all he's missing is the black vest. You know, but then there was a different beast that came about him and everything. And you also had the fact that you didn't have social media the way that it is today. You didn't have the dirt sheets. You didn't have podcasts that were running around and spoiling shit left and right. I can only imagine how it would have been back then if we had all of that active. It probably would have killed the mystique quite a bit. But they also Kevin Nash also stood out to me. I must say, Kevin Nash really stood out to me in a light that I didn't quite understand, and that I have even more respect and appreciation for now, because probably the biggest takeaway I have from it was the revelation where Kevin Nash says, look, I've got nothing personal against Bill Goldberg, but the night that the streak ended, Goldberg is saying to me, but today's my birthday, and so okay, so he wants to go over. But then you got Kevin Nash saying, well, today might be your birthday, but today is the anniversary of when my mom died. Because he lost his mom in 1994, and as we all know, when Goldberg lost the title to Kevin Nash, that went down, I believe Kevin Nash either said December 27th or December 28th of 1998. And so obviously Kevin Nash still reeling, even though it's barely been 4 years, he's still reeling from the loss of his mother. So that really just, wow. But the second part of it was also, hey, everybody has the assumption that, Kevin Nash, he was the fucking booker. He's the one that booked himself. He said, look, it's like, I didn't even book myself for that match against Bill Goldberg. Let me tell you something. What I honestly believe happened, since we want to put conspiracy theories and all that out there, look, I didn't book that match. I didn't book myself for that match against Bill Goldberg. But fans want to jump all in on conspiracy theories, so I'll have a little fun. What I think possibly happened was one night, Eric Bischoff and the Hulkster were kicking back, slamming some brews, and they decided, let's end Bill Goldberg's streak. Kevin Nash has always been consistent, even in shoots and all that. He's always been consistent over the years. And, the one thing, and I really hope it came off well in the documentary rather than him coming off like a smug asshole. His whole thing was, okay, we're building up this streak. What does it all lead to? What is the purpose of this streak? Yeah, we're given a rub off here and but what's the payoff? It has to make sense. That was Kevin Nash's whole thing. And, even Kevin Nash and Goldberg, even they admitted when it came to the streak ending, that whole cattle prod thing, even they didn't quite enjoy that. Kevin Nash even going on record, seeing Disco Inferno come out. Then seeing Bam Bam Bigelow come out. I forgot what name Kevin Nash threw out there next, but he thought it was getting rather ridiculous, the amount of people that were fucking coming out, because he kind of barely had a clue as to, what all was going on during that and everything. But DDP, makes an appearance in this as well. Thought it was kind of cool that they got DDP in there, considering, we did see him in AEW for a hot minute there. But in either case, DDP talked for a bit. DDP had a pretty emotional moment when he talked about that match he had against Goldberg. And Goldberg was very appreciative of that match. Now, I did not know that Bill Goldberg knocked himself out during that match with DDP. I don't know if you guys were aware of that, but you guys, if you weren't aware of that, watch that documentary. It went about 49 minutes long. I mean, time just flew by real fucking quick. But no, it really makes you appreciate Bill Goldberg, because as far as Bill Goldberg was concerned, yeah, he might have rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. But Bill Goldberg was one of those type of guys, and he said it repeatedly during this special. He just showed up to do his job. He never interjected as far as, well, shouldn't I do this? What if we have me do this instead? He never went creative. He never tried to pull a creative card or anything like that. He just showed up to work. What do you guys got me doing this week? Okay. Went out, executed it, and that was it. So when he was told, hey, you're going to lose the title to Nash, it was kind of, yeah, sure. He might have said the whole, man, it's my birthday. He might have said that and all, but at the end of the day, he went out there and he did his job. But very insightful. For the most part, I didn't really learn anything new except those elements that I had brought up. But my biggest takeaway was just really, truly appreciating how candid Goldberg was during it. So check it out when you guys get a chance. Speaking of Goldberg, he recently did an interview with Bleacher Report, and he talked about some dream matches that are still possibly available for him. As you all know, he has a contract with WWE that's going to end sometime in 2023. And he talked about the idea of retiring once that deal expires. And a direct quote here, "We always have to cross that bridge when we come to it. I'm 53 years old. I'll be 54 in a couple of weeks. Hey, as long as my body can still do it, I'm still going to do it." It's very tough because of being a power wrestler at this age. I'm not the person I was back in the past. You have that sense of, oh, am I ruining my legacy? Well, you know what? I still have to put food on the table for my family. There are a lot of things that come into consideration. And at the end of the day, I'm a businessman. I do what I got to do to stay afloat and stay out there. I don't see myself hanging it up anytime soon. But then again, I don't see myself wrestling until I'm 60. So when you're thinking about that current deal, all right, so 2023 is when that deal is going to be up. Okay, so basically he's going to be 54 in a couple of weeks. So let's say, let's say he hits 54 before the end of December. Let's just go ahead. Let's just give him 54 now. So 21, 22, 23. All right. So 55, 50. So he's going to be 56 going on 57 by the time this contract is up. Okay. He also talked about on possibly having a match with Roman Reigns. If the Roman Reigns match isn't the match at the top of my priority list, then I wouldn't be Goldberg. There's a match that needs to happen. It's a match that needs to happen that's needed to happen, I should say, for a very long period of time. I wish I would have been able to have that match 10 years ago. People in hell want ice water too. You can't have everything the way you want it, but I think I can still be a very formidable opponent for him. Georgia will always be better than Georgia Tech at the end of the day anyway. And he also talked about on another match with Randy Orton and other people he liked to face. He said, I'm a business guy, I'm a company guy, but I would be remiss in anything saying I didn't want to tangle with Randy Orton. Hands down, he's one of the best in the business. His professionalism his character development, his in-ring work, his promos, his everything. I'm a huge fan. I have been for a very long time. It's been in his blood and family for God knows how long, and he's at the top of the food chain as far as I'm concerned. I'd love to tangle with Randy again. I'd love to get in the ring with Drew McIntyre. I'd love to get in the ring with Keithley. There's a lot of people that are still attractive out there. So, look, he mentioned some names there that honestly, if you're Vince and the writers there in WWE, you should be okay. How can we get this popping for Keithley? Now, if you're asking me straight up, would I have Keithley go over Bill Goldberg? Yes, the selfish part in me. yes, I would. I would have Goldberg do the honors for Keithley. I wouldn't let it be a one-off match though. I would let it be a best of 3, but ultimately the very first encounter, I would have Keithley come out. The second go round, I would have Goldberg come out. The third go round, I would have Goldberg come out. But when he comes out that final time, there's enough of that rub there where, hey, he's got the old man's respect. And if Bill Goldberg endorses you as a tough son of a bitch, then you got to be all right, for sure, amongst the WWE fans, right? So I can definitely see that. Something with Drew McIntyre, I don't know about that, dog. I'm kind of cringing every time I see him coming out there with the damn sword. I just be wanting to cue up some fucking Queen. Here we are, born to be kings. The Highlander song. So, yeah. Randy Orton, I think that would be very, very interesting, especially given the history there going back to the Evolution days. That would be a very, very interesting feud, especially if you set it up in such a way where you can have Ric Flair back into the mix once again, trying to give Goldberg solid advice. Hey there, pal. Hey, pal, you don't want left around. You don't want left around with Randy. Take it from me, Randy Orton. Woo! Randy Orton, he'll kill you. He'll kill you. Look what he did to me. I can see, that would be very interesting. Having Randy Orton in there, having Ric Flair in there, that would be very interesting as well. Even doing a nice little nod there of history, were you somehow able to have Goldberg share a segment with Triple H once again? That would be pretty badass. I wonder if Batista would be open to doing something of a brief cameo there, just to, with Goldberg. I wonder, because I know, look, I'm not saying a match between Bill Goldberg and Batista. That's not what I'm saying. However, I do think it's rather weird that of all the money matches, that's one that somehow escaped the WWE. Very weird, isn't it? Very, very weird. But yeah, I think a feud with Randy Orton would be very, very interesting. There used to be a time where I would entertain the idea of maybe a Braun Strowman with Bill Goldberg, but yeah, I'm way out on that one. You can pretty much forget about that one. Let's see. What else can we get into before we get ready to roll out here? I know we got TLC. I'll talk about TLC in a hot minute. In case you guys didn't see it on Raw tonight during the commercial break, Straight Up Steve Austin Season 2 is coming to the USA Network. It's going to be premiering January 11th. Charlotte Flair is one of the guests that's going to be appearing that season. So I'm looking forward to that. And I think we can get into some WWE TLC, by the way. By the way, shout out to Cyberpunk 2077. Shout out to the people behind the game. The game launched on Thursday. It's been earning a boatload of positive reviews overall from the gaming community. Everybody noted that there were a few launch bugs here and there that got a little bit of negative press and everything. But for the most part, CD Project Red, they've released patches to resolve the issues, and everybody's saying, hey, performance issues is going pretty good. But the game had its biggest PC game launch ever with 4.72 million of the 8 million total pre-orders coming on PC. That tops World of Warcraft Shadowlands, which sold 3.7 million copies in its launch the previous week. So I can't wait to play that game. I was originally going to try to see if I could get a digital copy from the Microsoft Store, but let me put it to you this way. I think I have it on good authority. That actually might be a birthday/Christmas present. So we'll wait and see how that comes about. But yeah, preview for this week's AEW Dynamite: Sting set to appear live. Cody Rhodes with Arn Anderson going to be in action. Cody will be taking on Angelico. Hangman Page, John Silver, and Alex Reynolds will face Matt Hardy and Private Party. The Acclaimed will take on SCU. Serena Deeb and Big Swole versus Ivelisse and Diamante. Inner Circles, Chris Jericho, MJF, Sammy Guevara, Santana, Ortiz, Jake Hager, and Wardlow versus Top Flight, Brandon Cutler, Varsity Blondes, and Best Friends. Main event of the night, AEW World Title Eliminator match, no DQ, anything goes match. Kenny Omega versus Joey Janela. That's what's all going to be going down on this week's AEW Dynamite. Now, for those of you that may be wondering what's going on with the card for AEW Dark for this week, if you bear with me 1 second here, I should be able to tell you. Yes, here we go. It's going to feature 14 matches. The Acclaimed will be taking on Louis Valley and Mike Magnum. By the way, AEW Dark this Tuesday night on AEW's YouTube channel, 7 p.m. Eastern. Anna Jay versus Danny Jordan. Baron Black versus Brandon Cutler. Brian Cage versus VSK. Chaos Project versus Best Friends. Ricky Starks versus Soteria Chun. Stu Grayson and Evil Uno versus Bear Country. Sean Dean and Fuego del Sol versus Jurassic Express. Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela versus Ryzen and Sean Mulata. Casey Lennox versus Ivelisse. Danny Limelight versus Matt Seidel. AEW Women's Champion Shida versus Kaylin King. Leva Bates versus Skylar Moore. Tia Conte versus Freya States. Those are your matches that's going to be happening on AEW Dark for this week. So it looks like it's going to be a pretty good card. Also, we got a new Impact Wrestling. You'll be able to watch that for free on Twitch. You'll also be able to watch it on Access TV. But again, for those of you that don't have Access TV, you can watch it on Twitch. They got a pretty good card that's lined up. If you bear with me here, I recently saw the card, and I'm trying to see if I can pull it up here. Bear with me a second here. As I saw the card, yeah, here it is. Well, actually, hang on. We did have the card. I just saw the card here. Hang on a second here, guys. I just saw the card here. They had a pay-per-view this past weekend too. No, I did not get a chance to see it, but Impact Wrestling did their Turning Point pay-per-view event. That was actually streaming on Impact Plus. And the only thing that came out of that event as far as, that's a shocker. We have a new X Division champion. Eddie Edwards defeated Davari. Rosemary and Taya Valkyrie defeated Tennille Dashwood and Jordan Grace. Brian Myers. Oh no, that's November. I'm sorry. Final Resolution. Forgive me there, guys. I'm so sorry. Final Resolution was the pay-per-view event seen on Impact Plus over the weekend that Impact Wrestling held. I knew that card started to sound familiar. Tommy Dreamer defeated Larry D in an old school's rules match. Since Dreamer won, Larry D was taken to jail for the attempted murder of Johnny Bravo. Havoc and Nevaeh defeated the Sea Stars in a tag match. Tenille Dashwood and Caleb, with a K, defeated Alicia and Eddie Edwards in an intergender tag team match. Hernandez defeated Falabala. This was a singles match. Kira Hogan was a special guest referee, and Tasha Steelz was a special guest ring announcer and timekeeper. So since Hernandez won, he received the lump of cash that had previously been stolen from him by Falaba, which was then stolen from Falaba by Hogan and Steelz. Try saying that 10 times fast. So it's like, all right, so who stole from who, that stole from who, that stole from... Woo! Eric Young defeated Rhino. Manic defeated Rohit Raju to become your new X Division champion. And as we all know, Manic, at one point, that was a joint that TJP did in his early days in Impact. Deonna Purrazzo defeated Rosemary to retain her Impact Knockouts championship. Carl Anderson defeated Ethan Page. Now, had Page won, then the North would have earned a future Impact Tag Team Championship match. Main event match, Rich Swann defeated Chris Bay. Yeah, I saw that this pay-per-view, it apparently went about 3 hours and change, like almost 3 hours and 30 minutes, and I just couldn't help but go, good God, why so long? Like that, what the hell was going on in between? I'm hoping that was just maybe it was just a case where there was some technical difficulties, because I like, really, we're going, because I'm looking at the card here. You only had 9 matches, and I'm looking at it right now. 20 minutes here, 14 minutes here, 14. Okay, so that's 30 minutes. So pretty much 30 minutes. All right, so that's an hour right there. 10, 20, about 30. Yeah, so hopefully it was like a technical, because this doesn't add up to 3 hours and change. This looks like it's about maybe 2 hours and a half, if even that. So probably this coming weekend, I'll most likely go ahead and check it out. We'll see. I will definitely check it out, though, because I got Impact Plus. Also, your preview for AEW, I'm sorry, not AEW, Impact Wrestling for this week. Looks like we got the Knockouts Tag Team Title Tournament. Kira and Tasha, they'll be taking on Taya Valkyrie and Rosemary. Carl Anderson will be taking on Chris Sabin. Kenny Omega and Don Callis, they're back in the Impact Zone. Manic will be taking on Chris Bay. Tenille Dashwood will be taking on Alicia Edwards. Caleb with a K will be by Dashwood's side. Eddie Edwards will, of course, be by his wife's side. So, shaping up to be a pretty good episode of Impact. So, I'm looking forward to it. Shout out to Impact, by the way. They touted the news that they did about 750,000 views, just combining social media and just everything. So, that's great to hear. I got to go back and see what's going on with the cable rating for them, because I'm curious what they had did for this past Tuesday. But shout out to Impact. Impact, they did good. Like I said on social media, good with the numbers. Now you just got to continue to build upon it. You know, you got to continue to keep as much of that audience that you're getting from AEW, try to retain. Got a new follower. You try to keep as much of that as possible, and at the same time, build upon it and let those new fans know that their time is greatly valued, And hey, this is the content that we got happening for you. I'm hoping that Rich Swann, after the disrespect he had got last week, I'm hoping that in some shape or form, he kind of introduces himself there to the AEW World Champion. I can't wait to see what Tony Schiavone and Tony Khan got planned as far as AEW spot during Impact programming, because I'm eating that up, and I'm sure it went over pretty well with the fans on social media when it went down last week. So we'll see. We'll see how that pans out. All right, let's wrap up the show. Let's talk WWE TLC, and we'll pretty much go on home on this note. Looks like when it's all said and done, this is probably going to be about a 2-hour, 30-minute show, give or take. So I'm actually okay with that because we're at the 2-hour, 20-minute mark right now. So let's get a look at this here. So we're talking WWE TLC, tables, ladders, and chairs. It's going to be going down this Sunday. All right, here's how it's looking. New Day. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods taking on the Hurt Business. Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin tag team championship match for the Raw tag titles. I still like the Hurt Business. Let's pull the trigger already. Let's go there. I'm liking the Hurt Business. I'm just not quite seeing how New Day can retain it. It seems that the number has been pulled. Seems like the time is now. If you're not going to do it now, very questionable, you know. Sasha Banks taking on Carmella, SmackDown Women's Championship. I honestly don't care about this feud. I got to be honest with you guys. I don't care. Look, I love Sasha Banks. Love Sasha Banks. Carmella, not so excited about. Sasha Banks. I mean, come on. You know, if there was one match, though, that I put an asterisk by and be like, you know, if we were to do a troll, you know, if we're going to do a trolling of the fans, that would be the match. That would be the match. But Sasha Banks. Fuck is Bailey, by the way. Where is that girl? Roman Reigns taking on Kevin Owens, tables, ladders, and chairs match for the WWE Universal Championship. What did you guys just hear me say earlier in the night? Like, come on, man. All of a sudden, we're supposed to take Kevin Owens as a serious threat? Come on, no. Roman Reigns, all the way. Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler taking on Asuka and a tag team partner of hers to be determined. Tag match for the women's titles. Me personally, you already started to see advertising of Homegirl. I think Charlotte Flair is going to be the tag partner of Asuka. Makes all the sense in the world. But I tell you what, if you want to somehow make people give a flying you know what about tuning into Monday Night Raw, even if it's to see Lana go through another announcer's table, you gotta have her make some type of a cameo at TLC. You can't just make the announcement she's going to have a match against Nia Jax on Raw next week, and we're not even supposed to wonder if she's going to do anything at TLC. You gotta have her do something at TLC as far as extracting some type of revenge for what those girls did to her earlier tonight. So I'm calling for it. Look, it's right there for the taking. For them to not hit scratching moment right there. I am going to say... Interesting. This is a very delicate situation right here. Looking at these matches so far. Yeah. New tag champions. I'm going to say Asuka, Charlotte Flair, new tag champions. Fiend taking on Randy Orton. This could go either way, couldn't it? This could really go either way. Personally, I kind of feel as though Fiend really needs this. I really feel as though the Fiend really needs the W here to build upon. And boy, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? If the Fiend feuded with Keithley next. That would be kind of interesting. Randy Orton would be fine. Yeah, in defeat, Randy Orton would still be fine. For me, this match screams Fiend needs to win more. Especially building upon in story arcs. Yeah, I'd be a bit perplexed if Randy Orton were to win this. I sincerely would. I sincerely would. I'm going to go with the Fiend. Drew McIntyre defends his WWE Championship against AJ Styles. I don't see a successful cash-in by Miz during this matchup. So let me get that out the way off the break. I don't see that happening off the break. Because I'm more than convinced Miz, as it gets closer to WrestleMania, is when Miz is definitely going to cash in that championship. That's just the vibe I'm getting. It's going with my guts. That's what it's telling me right now. So as far as Drew taking on AJ goes, what is going to happen with Omos? That's the real question. I think because you got to have this kind of balance out. You got to have this balance out. I can see Omos being that ace in the hole, being that factor that, you know what, AJ just may be able to escape the Thunderdome with the WWE Championship, largely in part to Omos. But I can see Sheamus getting involved, because not for nothing, but if you remember watching Raw earlier tonight, Sheamus and Omos, Sheamus didn't really want any piece of Omos, but he was ready to throw down if it was necessary. So I would kind of like to see at this pay-per-view, I don't know about you all, but I want to see Sheamus and Omos throw it down. You know, Sheamus, it was very interesting because as long as we've been watching the career of Sheamus, he's always spoiling for a fight. And this was kind of one of those instances where Sheamus didn't want none. But I need to see Sheamus get a little bit of liquid courage here. And if Drew is supposed to be his buddy and everything, then I need to see Sheamus on the side there of McIntyre. So that makes a lot of sense. Does Sheamus turn on Drew McIntyre in this match? Because that's another angle you could look at. Does he? Because I've been telling you guys for the past couple of weeks, it's a possibility that Sheamus could just be playing here. I'm going to say Drew McIntyre comes out still your WWE champion when it's all said and done. I'm still going to say he's going to be your WWE champion. I don't see a successful cash-in when it's all said and done. I'm not seeing that right now. All right, so once again, Hurt Business, new Raw Tag Team Champions. Sasha Banks retains her SmackDown Women's title. Speaking of SmackDown, don't forget, no SmackDown on this Friday night on Fox because of the Pac-12 game. So instead, SmackDown for this Friday only can be seen on FS1. Still the same time and everything, but it's going to be on FS1 for this week only. Roman Reigns got him retaining the Universal title over Kevin Owens. Asuka, and I'm going with Charlotte Flair. I'm going to say new tag team champions in Asuka and Charlotte Flair. Fiend taking on Orton. I got Fiend over Orton. McIntyre retains his championship over AJ Styles. And I'm calling for no Miz cash-in. At least not a successful one. So that's how I'm looking at TLC. And don't forget, there's going to be a TLC post show that's going to be dropping on Sunday. All right, don't forget that. So we did pretty good. I'm just seeing if there's anything else we need to get into. I don't think there is. I think we covered pretty much all the bases. Let me just take one last look on social media before we get ready to roll out. Make sure I didn't miss anything extremely important here. And I don't think we did, but I just want to make sure. Because it's better to be safe than sorry, I always say. No, I'm not seeing anything else. Hang on here. Yeah, not seeing anything else, so we're pretty much good to go. All right, so don't forget, between now and Wednesday night, I'm going to be recording a new Impact Showdown that will drop. So peep that out. By the way, you all may have noticed for the past couple of weeks, I've been dropping Impact Showdown and the RCWR show back to back. So those of you that check out the show live or happen to check it out on demand or on the downloads, if you, depending on what you see first, start getting into the habit of going back and checking out the previous episode. Because again, basically when I'm sitting down Wednesday night, I'm typically putting both shows out at the same time these days. So FYI. But Impact Showdown, I'll be doing that sometime between now, Wednesday night. That'll drop for on demand and the downloads. Let's see. Thursday, you already know, I'm going to be over on Wrestling Soup, so catch me over there. Friday, I'll probably do a sporadic appearance for you guys. By the way, for those of you on the East Coast, you got snow coming your way. Hope you guys got your pantries loaded up. Please be safe. If you don't have to, depending on how much snow you're going to be getting, if it's going to be a lot, if there's going to be a lot of sleet mixed with rain and all that, leads to black ice, please, if you can help it, don't be on the roads. And most importantly, depending on where you are, and if you're going to be getting a decent amount of snow, try to look out for your fellow man and woman as far as your neighbors go, especially the elderly. This is that time of the year, especially with the pandemic and everything. There's a lot of households that are struggling. Some families, especially the elderly, some elderlies, they have to decide between, okay, do I want to eat and make sure I have my medicine, because I have enough money for that. I have enough coverage for that, but I won't have any lights. I won't have any heat. So, make sure you're checking in on your neighbors, especially the elderly. Make sure that they got everything they need. Make sure that, as far as any blankets, things of that nature, that they're okay. If you're willing to go that extra mile and shovel your neighbor's walkway or drive through, hey, I'm sure they would greatly appreciate it, especially if they got a bad back, they're getting up there in age, they have some type of a disability. The act of kindness, pay it forward, always forward, as I like to say. Get at me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use the keywords, the RCWR Show. Check out previous episodes on demand, on the downloads, wherever you get your podcasts, as we're all over the platforms there. And that is going to do it. Please, as you make your exit, smash the like. If you haven't subscribed, do subscribe so you never miss out on all the great content that comes your way. We're just getting started with Old Man Lee Week. Keep it tuned. Keep it locked in on social media for more great content. And until next go around, I'm wishing all of y'all to be safe. Most importantly, my pretty babies, please be kind to one another. See you next go around. Adios, y'all.